Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. We'll get started here in just a moment. We're currently reporting live from 57th Street, East 57th Street that is, and Park Avenue. This is the Aston Martin showroom. Happy Monday, and it is also UN week. The UN General Assembly is in town. Crazy traffic, unbelievable traffic today. So if you're traveling into the city, I think it's best just to keep it to public transportation because it was gridlock pretty much at all hours of the day. We'll get started here in a minute. Looks like we got about 8 seconds to cross, so we might as well play our luck weaving and bobbing, shucking and jiving in and out of the traffic. All right, now that we got some people in here, we'll just do our quick audio and visual check. So if you guys can hear us and if we're streaming in 1080p, just go ahead and leave a thumbs up in the chat. That way we know we're all good. And we'll go ahead and kick this off right here on the border of the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Welcome to Park Avenue and 57th Street. While we're doing that, check out this view of 432 Park. Just a really stunning building, particularly when it's very ominous looking out. All right, it looks like we're good, so let's go ahead and kick this thing off. Oops. I forgot to do one thing. Okay, we're good. So good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Walks and Wall Street. It is a beautiful Monday afternoon, or Monday evening, I should say, in New York City. It is September 23rd, 2024, and I believe the time is 9:08, 9:09, something to that liking. We're currently walking down 57th Street, right in front of the soon-to-be-open Four Seasons Hotel. There's a lot going on here. I was watching people moving in and out. I think this is set to open very soon. I'm not too sure the exact date, but this is pretty exciting because it's been closed for quite some time. It is UN week here in New York City, the UN General Assembly, so pretty much all of the major world leaders are right here, crammed in on the tiny island of Manhattan. So we're going to be seeing a lot of police activity, probably a lot of entourages, escorts, barricades. Looks like we have something going on right now. We'll walk past the Park Hyatt, JW Marriott Essex House. We'll take a look at where the President of the United States, Joe Biden, is staying as of right now. But as it relates to the markets, pretty tame day, pretty timid day in the markets, as expected. But we'll go ahead and talk about some potential action in the Russell 2000 small caps and a little bit of an outlook as we almost close out Q3 going into Q4 to round out the year. We'll also get into some historical statistics on how the market tends to perform after the first rate cut. So more specifically, 12 months after the first rate cut. So let's see who we have in the audience here. I see Professor Dario. What's going on? Hey, Leanne is here. Welcome. Lance Walte, NBA Elias, Alan, VLT Prod. I see D, Shannon, Sabine N says hello from Toronto. Good to see you as well. Always a pleasure. Lily's here, Albany Live. Cheers. Welcome to Madison Avenue now. Seems like a pretty nice showroom. Looks like we have our first Cybertruck of the night right outside the Balenciaga store. This is a pretty good shot of the GM building. General Motors building, I think, is very underrated in terms of its architecture and just its placement and its grandeur in the city. I was taking a walk through the Upper East Side of Manhattan today, and I feel like I have a newfound appreciation for the Upper East Side. Now, there's definitely its drawbacks, right? Pros and cons. One of the main pros about the Upper East Side is its cleanliness in comparison to like a Midtown Manhattan or something like that. But one of the drawdowns is not a big fan of the subway lines over there. We talked about the 6 train, just generally the 4, 5, and 6 kind of runs through the Upper East. So you have very clean streets for whatever reason, right? Mainly because right as you pass the Upper East, you go into East Harlem. I always have problems on the train. I always run into incidents when I take the 6 train, and today was no exception. Had a big incident on the train today. Pulled into the station at 59th Street, which is right outside the Bloomberg headquarters, by the way. And there was a disgruntled person on the train threatening people, and the conductor made everybody get off as they called the NYPD. Now, I think they got to figure out a new system, not to make the whole first half of the stream about, crime in the subways, but when they call for the police, it holds up the train for everyone else, making everyone late. And by the time the police officers arrive, the criminal is long gone, right? I mean, he's long gone. And then it's just like everyone sits in the station for 15 minutes when the guy is probably, doing jumping jacks down Madison Avenue or something. So anyway, Upper East Side's beautiful, but the trains, man, always have problems up there. Yeah, Albany Live, that's true. If we were to make this left on 5th Avenue, you're going to see the Trump Hotel, or not the Trump Hotel, excuse me, Trump Tower. And there is significant security for obvious reasons. And Barron Trump is now attending NYU Stern School of Business. So, pretty cool. NBA Elias has no more lines for the iPhone 16. I was going down a little bit of a rabbit hole reading about iPhone 16, and I think I am firmly convinced that they probably should have waited to announce the phone and launch the phone once they have the appropriate software launched, like Apple AI. I feel as if there's no reason to launch the device and then promise everyone that all of the necessary software needed to use the main things to get people to upgrade, even if it's 30 days away. That's just me. So maybe that'll weigh on sales, maybe it won't. But Apple is definitely a powerhouse. One of the things that we were talking about as a potential bull catalyst for the market is just artificial intelligence as a whole, right? That may sound obvious, but going a step further is AI is going to spark a hardware reset cycle, or I should say a hardware refresh cycle across the spectrum. The way I could explain it as a quick comparison, I really attribute it to the coronavirus, what happened there. I was in tech sales during that time, and it was just like order taking, right? If anyone was in tech sales right as the pandemic hit, you pretty much turned from a salesperson to an order taker, right? People were coming to you for products and services to help businesses, state, local governments, school districts operate remotely. And artificial intelligence, I think, is going to be that next big thing. Because if you want to use any of these new cool features, you need new hardware with all the new chipsets. So if the iPhone 16 sales cycle is a massive win, you'll probably see on the back end of that news all of these semiconductor stocks getting a pretty nice bid. The LT Prance is I think they plan to roll out Apple Intelligence in bits and pieces to see how it goes first. It's an interesting way to do it. I just feel as if it's like you're promising people something and like waving a shiny object in front of their face. If you want someone to make a decision and buy something, maybe it's just me, you have to have everything teed up and ready to go. Because you never know. Maybe I would have bought it, the iPhone 16. But if you wait for 30 days, they do actually extend the rollout of Apple Intelligence. Maybe there's some bugs, maybe there's some issues. It can kind of leave a sour taste in everyone's mouth. I don't know. Again, I'm not as smart as all the Apple marketing people. I mean, they're the best in the world. That's just my take on it. Flat Smack, what's going on? Good to see you. Cold Young is here. Joseph Hardaway, cheers. We're about to walk right past the Sherry Netherland. You can see this entourage is getting an NYPD escort. Probably some big diplomat. Every time we walk past the Sherry Netherland, we always recommend one of the best trading books of all time, which is Reminiscences of a Stock Operator, based on the life of Jesse Livermore. Beautiful architecture in here too. I think they've opened the doors, so beautiful in there. You can buy individual units inside the Sherry Netherland. I think they're a little bit pricey, but it's kind of like a timeshare structure. But I would never recommend timeshares. Maybe purchasing something in the Sherry Netherland just to say you own something in the Sherry Netherland if you're like a trader or something, if it has sentimental value to you. All right, let's go ahead and head over to 6th Avenue, and we'll make a left and start to head downtown as soon as possible. But seems like there's a ton of traffic down 5th. Andrew's here, says, hey Tom, good to see you. Brad's Brain, what's going on? C-Note says, what price do you see BTC reaching in the next bull cycle? Well, there is no next bull cycle, we're in it. Right, look alive, open those eyes, we're in it, pal. So that's what I would say. But to go a step further, I did write about Bitcoin and gold, those two specific assets, extensively on Friday when we published our latest issue of the Behind the Street newsletter, which is our free investment piece that we send out to all of our subscribers. So if you want to receive that every other Thursday, you can just scan the QR code on your screen. Look at this Rolls Royce here. It's a very unique looking one in white. We'll go check it out. You could scan the QR code on your screen, punch in your email, and that is our Substack. We have over 2 years of archived research on there for free. We do not charge for any of it. So definitely take advantage and share it with your friends. Now, the piece was really short and sweet. And the thing that we hammered on the most, right, is doing a deep dive into the data, because there's a lot of, I wouldn't say misinformation going on, I would say cherry picking of data that's being put out to the public, right? Many people are making this claim that usually after the first rate cut, look back to 2007 and look back to 2001, they cherry pick those two data points and say, the market's going to roll over now that the Fed cut 50 basis points. But the reality is, it's the opposite. If you expand the data set, going back to 1929, we'll just try to cross the street without getting knocked off by this cab. There was only 2 times throughout history, since 1929, where the stock market was negative 12 months after the first rate cut. And it's just so happens to be the 2 data points that everyone talks about, which is 2007 and 2001, right? The great financial crisis and then towards the tech wreck. So most of the time, it's actually a very, very bullish catalyst for the market 12 months after the first rate cut. So I don't know if this is a Dawn or maybe a Wraith, but I kind of like these wide-bodied Rolls Royces a lot. They just look very unique. It's more like a chauffeur vehicle, I would imagine. Hey, Hang with Mark Mom, what's going on? Always a pleasure to see you. Yeah, they have those two-door, so you have like the two-door coupe Rolls Royce, and then you have those big ones. I don't know, maybe it is designated as a quote-unquote chauffeur vehicle. Now, you see all this construction here, we've talked about it many times. This is Grand Army Plaza, and New York City is going to get a complete revamped, modern, new, and clean Grand Army Plaza. They're going to redo the fountain. It's going to be a full restoration. It's going to look quite nice. And right as you exit the Plaza Hotel, you have really, really good views. Rollie says it was a Rolls-Royce Phantom. Got it. I knew it was one of those. Thank you for that. Danielle says, are we headed to Washington Square Park tonight? I'm not too sure we'll make it all the way to Washington Square Park. We'll see. I mean, anything is possible. It may be a little bit too out of the way for tonight, but I definitely want to try to get down to the West Village / East Village. Maybe once or twice this week. Looks like some sort of a show's getting out here. Looks pretty busy. Hey Joseph, what's going on? It says cost of living for Social Security will be reduced due to the interest rate cut. Could you expand on that a little bit? Doc 7 says, Tom, did you read the Demodoran article I sent you? I got it. I didn't have time to read it, but I've time-boxed time to read it today on the train. But I really, really appreciate you sending that. Really appreciate it. We'll go past the 1 Central Park South, which is the residences at the plaza. In my view, those are the two best addresses in the city. 1 Central Park South and then 1 Central Park West. 1 Central Park South address is the residences at the plaza, and 1 Central Park West is the Trump International Hotel and Tower. There's beautiful architecture. I like the black and then the gold trim on the outside. Yeah, Hang with Mark Mom's his first night with the UN in town, so I'm sure they are out enjoying the town tonight. And there's also a huge police presence. Huge. I was also reading an interesting article now that we bring up the topic of Social Security. Somebody did a calculation of what the average American pays in over their lifetime as it relates to Social Security. And the calculation it's like a time value of money calculation, right? And most people would be better off taking the money that they would have invested or that they would have paid into Social Security and just investing it into an index fund like the S&P 500. You actually get negative return over time on your money with all those Social Security taxes that get taken out. So if the average person, instead of just getting that automatic deduction with the Social Security tax, it is a tax, and if they just had invested in the S&P 500, they would have been significantly better off. And it's funny that they did that calculation because it really just goes to show the inefficiency of government programs in general and how efficient the free market is. So, because whether we like it or not, right, I know it's kind of a touchy subject to talk about those entitlements like Social Security and the like, but they are, by definition, Ponzi-like schemes, right? The only way current people are getting paid out is because new people are paying into the system. That's a textbook Ponzi scheme. But we'll see. That's why it's important to invest money on your own over long durations of time. This hotel is the Park Lane Hotel. We've talked about it multiple times. They closed it down during the pandemic and they did a total gut renovation on it. It's more of the, I would say, it's a prime location, but it's not a 5-star hotel, but if you're looking for a good place to stay that's quote unquote affordable on Central Park South, this is probably your spot because you're literally right on top of the plaza. You're also right next to 50 Central Park South, which is the Ritz-Carlton residences and hotel. It's quite nice here. Let's see if we can see into the lobby a little bit. Hey, crypto meme, what's going on? Jax is basically, I was talking about that with someone. It's interesting. Yeah, most people, right? And they did the average buy-in, or I should say pay-in to Social Security. Most people are better off over their lifetime taking that money and just putting it into the S&P 500. As funny as it sounds. So this is pretty cool. This is the main kind of pull-up valet to the Park Lane. I don't think I've ever showed you guys this up close before. And this corridor will take you to 58th Street. And then you look right up at Steinway Tower, 157, and Central Park Tower. Pretty cool. Hang with Mark Mom says, Tom, yes, I plan on living off Social Security and only tap into my dividends from all my investments, but I'll have no use for my investments, just let it grow. I just let it keep riding and grow, for sure. It's a really, really great idea. And then plus you could probably, trust that to your kids and pass it down the generations. This is a really nice setup they built here. This did not used to be like this at all. All right, let's get back on Central Park South. Now, depending on what type of structure you have set up, and before we talk about this, just a disclaimer, I'm not a CPA, so don't take this as advice. Just contact your accountant or your CPA or a professional. But if you work for yourself or you own a business, you own a company, a SEP IRA is very, very good. Because depending on how much money you make and how much revenue the business makes, I think you can stock away up to like $60,000 a year, maybe $65,000 a year if you are self-employed. So that is, or if you own a company or something like that. So the way I'm structured, and again, I always like to make this clear, talk to a CPA, but maybe talk to him about this idea if you are a business owner or something. I have a S corporation, so I'm technically an employee of my own company. So I pay myself a fair salary based on the revenue the business brings in which case I'm able to have a self-directed where the max is $60,000 a year based upon how much money the business brings in and the like. And that is just extremely good, because if you think about the limit on a regular IRA, I think it's like $5,000 a year, maybe like $5,500 a year. And that grows tax-free, which is amazing. Think about that over the course of your lifetime. That's huge. That's massive. Looks like we have, is it 7,000 now? They raised it? They should, because they really should raise the limit there. Because if you think about it, 5,000, in my view, is just not enough. If you can max out all of your retirement accounts, the better. Because just 7-year difference in compounding is a difference between a double and not a double, right? If you could double your money every 7 to 10 years, that's awesome. This is looking up at 53 West 53rd Street. Papa says, hey Tom, Ackman's proposal, each newborn gets $6,000. It stays in an investment account, never to be touched until retirement age. The government would actually save money. So I saw that interview, and that is such a great idea. And you're correct, it would save the government a ton of money, and this is why we'll never do it. This is why it'll never happen. But it's so true. And I won't speak for anybody else, right? I'll speak for myself. But I would have no problem, zero problem, as a taxpayer, having my taxpayer dollars go to funding a newborn child's retirement account. So here's essentially what I mean. Oh, look at this. Yeah, you can tell Biden is here. The whole street's locked down. So the baby's born. On day one, they automatically get some sort of IRA set up with $6,000 automatically invested into the S&P 500. Now, they can't raid the account, right? It's not like the parents can raid the account, sell the stock, and use the $6,000. You would have to make some provision where it would automatically be locked up in there until retirement age for that child. I mean, that $6,000 could grow into $700,000, right? $1 million over 70 years. So I would totally be for that. And that may be an idea that kind of solves the Social Security crisis in America. We spend so much money, on the military-industrial complex. $170,000 for this warhead that's going to, splatter a bunch of people's brains all over the Middle East. I would rather just use that taxpayer money for giving it to American citizens that are born here. I think that's a good idea. Ackman, 2 thumbs up for Mr. Bill Ackman there. Look at this. You have more security going all the way down to 58th Street and across to 57th. Let's check out the underworld. Think about what that would do to close the wealth gap, right? One of the things we talked about in the newsletter and quite, recently in the past 2 live streams is just the bifurcated economy we have, right? The extreme haves and the extreme have-nots. And there's a lot of kids in the United States that are being born into poverty. So imagine if they could get $6,000, every child that, doesn't matter, but if you're born into poverty, you have $6,000 that's growing at 5 to 7% a year for the course of your life. In the back of your mind that you have some security, that you're not going to have to fend for yourself. And it's such a simple thing. Super simple. This is the 57th Street subway station. I know, the LT prod. Just people are reaching a breaking point on being mad about the government wasting money. It's almost just like I expected now. It's become an expectation, in my view. I'm like, wait, the government is not wasting money? That's actually when I get a little bit surprised. Sarah says that's what Social Security is supposed to be. Correct, but Social Security is very flawed. And when Social Security was first introduced, it really wasn't meant to be a person's sole retirement nest egg, right? But it's like the old saying, if you give somebody something, it's extremely, extremely hard to take it away. Near impossible. I don't know. Anyway, we'll digress on that idea, but I think it's a very good idea. Oh, wow. Look at that. Oops, have to turn off the Wi-Fi. I may have to come back here tomorrow. Look at that. This is a fantastic photo. I'm not sure if you guys know. That is Dean Martin right here. This is Sammy Davis Jr. And that is Frank Sinatra. What a photo that is, right? That's a great piece. I'm going to see how much that is tomorrow, and maybe I'll put that up in the office. Love that print. This store must be new. I've never seen it before. It looks like it just opened. Yeah, Laura G's is the Rat Pack. What a throwback that is, right? Oh, and this is brand new too. They did an unbelievable job in this retail. This used to be a very, very rundown Starbucks. They completely revamped and did a complete overhaul of the space here, and it looks quite inviting. Oh, speaking of Starbucks, right? We were talking about the new CEO of Starbucks. He's coming from Chipotle. He has a big pay package, and he made some statements on the whole debate between remote work and in-person work. Did anybody see his comments about it? Or anyone have any thoughts? And this is coming in light of all of the major tech companies essentially requiring their employees to come back into the office. I think Amazon just issued a 100% mandate that employees must return to the office in person 5 days a week. Now, this has a lot of people up in arms. We've talked about it. I think they're doing this for two reasons. Number one, they have all the data. I mean, Amazon tracks everything. All these big companies, their HR departments track productivity, etc. And it probably turns out that productivity is significantly higher when people are together in the office. But number two, and look, I'm just going to say it, they're obviously trying to manage some people out of the business. This happens. Here's some more security. I notice you always have one NYPD cruiser, and then you'll have like 4 or 5 black cars, like SUVs. Does that mean they're getting some sort of an escort, something like that? But anyway, I think they're doing that mainly for two reasons. But the CEO of Starbucks came out and said, look, we're all adults here, and essentially saying, if you can't get your act together and be honest, honestly, and not goof off while you're working from home, he has that trust in his employees. I think that was a nice thing to say, but I don't know if that's a reality, frankly put. Hey, TK Porsche, what's up? Joanne, what's going on? Hey, Ibrahim Azam says, the way I see it, remote work is a privilege, not a right. I know, so I was just about to say that. So Sarah's like, because he's working from home. And part of his corporate compensation package is that I think he gets, I forget the name of the private jet. I'm not a big aviation guy, but I think it's like a G7 something. Is it a G750 that he gets? So he gets to remain where he is, but he gets a corporate jet to fly into the office. But in all fairness, he is a rock star CEO. And many of the things that we talked about as we were speculating, it is a Gulf Stream. Thank you, Scott. Scott said it's Gulf Stream. But many of the problems that we were speculating that was going on at Starbucks, he actually addressed right off the bat, which, I mean, if there's anyone knows about QSR, quick service restaurants, fast casual, it's him, right? Built Chipotle into what it is today. And it's, number one, a cluttered menu. Just too many choices on the menu items at Starbucks, so consolidating that menu I think is going to increase sales and making the stores a lot safer. That's one of the main reasons why a lot of these Starbucks stores have chosen to unionize, is because of the unsafe working conditions in a lot of the stores in the major cities like New York, San Francisco, and the like. And he's addressed that head on as well, to go back to the core founding values of Starbucks, to make it the third place, right? If you ever read one of Howard Schultz's books, that was his vision for Starbucks. It was not to make the best coffee. It was not to make the best tasting product. It was to make an experience, an environment of being the third place. And I think they've kind of gotten away from that. If you don't feel safe in the stores, chances are you're not going to come. Or at least you'll come, but you'll go through the drive-thru. Maybe you'll spend less, and maybe you'll come less often. Let's take one quick pass by 53 West 53rd Street, and I'll catch up on some comments. Look at this truck. This thing is massive. It's like a Ford F-250, maybe. F-350. There's two of them. Look at the... I wonder what's on the back of them. It looked like big surveillance. HHS. Anyway. Vaughn says, don't forget that you make a deal with an employer and it's not supposed to be a master/slave relationship. So it's funny language to me to say anything that's part of a deal is a privilege. Well, I don't know. I mean, you're an at-will employee, right, to be fair. I mean, most people are. I mean, the corporation doesn't have to employ you. If the corporation changes their rules and you don't abide by those rules, you can find another job somewhere else. But I do get what you're saying. This is the restaurant at 53 West 53rd. Looks like we have some people dining tonight. Yeah, Vaughn says the corporation doesn't have to employ me and I also don't have to work for them. Exactly. Exactly. Hey, Pops is here. Good to see you as always. Michael G says nothing like a nice local coffee shop on the weekend. And plus there's a lot of competition. There's so much competition now, not only from the smaller coffee operators, but also the major established ones that are publicly traded, like Dutch Bros Coffee and the like. Let's cross to the right by this Brazilian steakhouse. And I want to see all the security outside of the Park Hyatt tonight. Hey, Alan, this is on the topic of finance. I've done the math, and people who buy just one Starbucks coffee a day over the course of a year is a ton of money, wasted money in my opinion when you can make it at home. I kind of agree and disagree with that in the same breath, and I'll kind of tell you why. But it mainly applies in a big city. If you live in a big city like New York, or LA, San Francisco, Miami, whatnot, and in office culture, it's like standard office culture to get FaceTime with the higher ups. On a lunch break, you get a coffee, and it's more of like an experience thing, right? So I go out for coffee almost every single day. I either, text a bunch of my friends who work in the neighboring buildings on the street. I got buddies in Newburgh or Berman, UBS, a couple hedge funds, family offices around, and we just meet at a place, talk about the markets, and it's really enjoyable. So I think from that perspective, it is worth it. And on the flip side, I think these are more government vehicles. On the flip side, I think a mistake a lot of people can make, and I think I made this mistake early on in my career. We'll wait till this guy goes. But this was like a really pivotal piece of advice for me, because I was at one point like borderline, like way too frugal. Like I would literally spend everything I had, and if I spent, or I would literally save everything I had, and if I spent like $40 on lunch or dinner, I would be like petrified the next day. And someone told me, he's like, you gotta think in definitives. You can only, if you save, you can only save so much. Like if you have $500 a week coming in, you can only save $500 a week, right? But if you focus on the other end of the equation, not the saving so much, I'm not saying just go spend recklessly, but focus more of your time, energy, and effort on the other end of the equation, right? To make the 500 a week grow to maybe 5,000 a week or 50,000 a week, whatever it is, right? So the point of the moral of the story is most people focus on the wrong end of the equation, where if you stress and like strain yourself out and say, oh, I can't, go to coffee with my friends because I got to save this $5, and you're like looking at the $5 in your bank account and you're holding on to it and you're freaking out about it. But think about all the opportunities that could come your way if you get that coffee, if you do a deal with this person, grow the business. Like your efforts and your focus should be about massive expansion all the time. And it's a good way to kind of train your brain to think just enormous. Like think about how big Elon Musk thinks all the time, right? He thinks about how we can send people to Mars. Like he's not even thinking on this planet, right? He thinks so huge. He's thinking about getting the human race on another freaking planet. So if you can kind of over time expand to say, the universe is so big, the world is so big, the global economy is so massive that if I made, let's say, $200,000 a year, that wouldn't even put a little bit of a dent in global GDP. And the thought of that is the sky is really, really the limit. Opportunity, particularly if you're in the United States, is almost quite literally limitless. It's unreal. So I do agree with Alan on one point, but on another point, it's like try to shift your focus to the other side of the equation and think just massive. And when you think you're thinking too big, you should kind of get cartoonishly ridiculous and just think so big and expand your horizon so much that people, like if you tell people like what you're up to or what you're doing, they think that's just like a pie in the sky pipe dream, and then you're kind of like where you should be. And I struggle with kind of thinking like that sometimes too, but that's kind of how it was explained to me. Let's check out Radio City Music Hall. And Rockefeller Center. I'm quite curious to see what's going on at 30 Rock today. Looks like they're just closing up something. Maybe there was a show here. Who knows? Hey, NYC Home. It says, hey Tom, what are your thoughts on Marxism? Also, is economics a good major if I want to work in high finance at either Goldman, JP Morgan Chase, or a boutique investment bank? I'd say yeah. Totally, yeah. Economics is great. What do I think of Marxism? Well, number one, I try not to think about it. I hope it never comes to the U.S. I don't think it ever will. It doesn't work. And free markets is the way to go. But I'd say, maybe try to throw some accounting in there or pick something that really interests you. And it also depends on what you want to do at the bank. Like, what specifically do you want to do at Goldman Sachs, the JP Morgan, etc.? Because there's many, many different divisions. Do you want to be on the buy side? Do you want to be on the sell side? Kind of what do you want to do there? Do you want to be like an analyst? Do you want to be sales and trading? Do you want to be in equity research? Like, what do you want to do? Or do you want to be in investment banking, where you're buying and selling companies and doing advisory? So I would say kind of focus in on what you want to do, find the target, and then live and breathe everything necessary in order to hit that target, right? Whether it's studying, the top investment bankers in the field, what they've done before, think about what your exit opportunities will be. That's kind of what I would say. Hey, Tiffany Page, good to see you. Says, I work for JP Morgan. Awesome. Well, speaking of JP Morgan, there's going to be your new headquarters, 270 Park. It looks really nice too. TK Porsche is, Lex Friedman just did a podcast episode on the history of Marxism and the USSR. Let me take a screenshot of that actually, TK Porsche. Thank you for dropping that in the chat. Tiffany Page, 60 Wall, now Deutsche Bank. 60 Wall is no longer Deutsche Bank anymore. They're doing some sort of conversion project there. So the building is totally blown out, and I think they're going to make a mixed-use building with offices and maybe a few residential units. But Deutsche Bank is a Columbus Circle now, surprisingly enough. Deutsche Bank took over Time Warner Center, and it is now Deutsche Bank Towers. So you have the shops at Columbus Circle, you have the Whole Foods there. In the North Tower, you have the Mandarin Oriental, and then you have Deutsche Bank on the other side, which is that's a really nice office, way better than 60 Wall Street. I used to work at 82 Wall Street, and the whole neighborhood changed. My God, has the neighborhood changed crazy. Hey, KM Ramsey says, peace from Cincinnati. What's going on? Good to see you. The LT Prod says, I heard interns at all the big investment banks have to return calls / emails, etc. within 15 minutes any time of day. It's definitely a big workload. And there's been some serious complaints about the working hours at major investment banks. And I think at JP Morgan Chase, they're going to start to cap the amount of hours people could work and things like that. But I don't know. I think it's just it's the part of the business. I mean, you work a lot, especially if you're on a live deal, but you also make a lot of money. So just really depends. But if you're interested in like a trading role, like sales and trading, or like in the hedge fund business or equity research, I'd say the best thing you could do is do the job before you get the job, right? Start building out your portfolio of work. If you're a high school kid or you're a college kid, you should open a trading account and you should start to make some decisions, right? That's what they look for. They look for your risk management skills and can you make a decision, right? It doesn't need to be with $1 million. It could be with $5,000. And even if you lose money, if you could show your work and do a post-analysis to say, these are the investments I've made, this was the reason for me going into this trade, this is why I took the position off, you know, you're going to be so much further ahead of just the kid who went to college and got the degree, right? You want to go to college, get the degree, and also do the work before you even get the job. We're now on the corner of West 48th Street. And this is the News Corporation building. Hey, Daniel G says, hey Tom, and good evening everybody. What's up, Daniel? Cheers to you. Thanks for joining us here on UN Week. I guess another little comment on the wasting money thing. I really truly believe, and I think I've kind of changed my stance on this as I've gotten older. Life is really, really short, so I think you should do things you enjoy. You know, I think if it's a little thing like getting a cup of coffee or whatever, I mean, maybe for you it's going golfing. I mean, people spend a lot of money on golf, whatever it is. I think you should do it. I don't think you should stress about it as long as you're doing what's right and doing the work to grow your career and you're essentially put it in the work. So don't sweat the small stuff is kind of what I learned, because trust me, I used to be exactly like that. I used to be like way overboard. So don't sweat the small stuff. You'll never even realize it because, you know, it only takes 1 or 2 deals, whatever you're working on, to really be a life changer for you. So I'd say do the things you enjoy. Don't feel nervous about doing the things you enjoy, but really throw down on the work. So if you work like an animal and you are really, really diligent about it, don't sweat, you know, don't sweat the small stuff, I'd say. This is New York City's Diamond District. 47th, 50th Street, Rockefeller Center. The BDFM trains. And it's funny, you can see Jamie Dimon's office tower right from here. Dock 7s is in it, and it's all small stuff for sure. I think if anyone's ever had like a sick family member or something, you kind of realize like, wow, a lot of this stuff that I'm worried about is really just meaningless. It doesn't even, like nothing really even matters. Even like kind of the big stuff you think about at work. It's like in the grand scheme of things, it's like, do I really need to be like stressing myself out over this? It's not to say just be totally laissez-faire and not put in the work, but don't go to the point where you're gonna blow your heart out over it. Because life is short. You know, do what you got to do. Try to enjoy your work. Work hard. Think big. And do the right thing, and it'll work out. So don't, get all pent up. Because life is short. I mean, I'm 29 already. I honestly can't even believe that. I literally can't even believe that. I remember when I was a freshman in college like it was yesterday. I literally remember riding my bike to the train station my first day of classes like it was yesterday. Now I'm almost 30. So life goes by very quick. Very, very quick. I'm trying to look for the market prices for like spot gold. I think we passed it. They used to have it all around here. Because I wanted to do a quick segue into our precious metals conversation. But I forget where this place is. The heck? Look at this spot. This is going to be residential. This is crazy. It says it's going to be completed in September 2024. Well, doesn't look too complete to me, but that looks pretty unique. I'm excited to see this. I mean, it's going to be residential. 27 West 47th Street. Yeah, residential. I don't know if I'd want to live right in the Diamond District though, but it is a cool, unique looking building. Hey, NBA Elias is gold 2627. Man, on its way to 3,000. Ah, here it is. So we got platinum, 964.80. We got gold at 26.27, and silver at 30. Wow. Palladium 1,040. Like I said, I think this move in precious metals and Bitcoin that we're seeing is kind of letting us know that more of the same is going to come in terms of government spending. And if you think about it like this, right, the market, stocks, commodities, is usually forward-looking by 6 months. So what is in 6 months? Well, in 6 months, we're going to have a new president or president-elect. It's crazy to say that, but it's true. So if you have gold really ramping, and if you have Bitcoin trying to break out, to me, that's the market saying, regardless of who wins, you're going to see no material change in trying to rein in government spending. You're going to probably see deficits balloon even more. And I think that's why the market is really outperforming here for those. MDs, I saw a guy on CNBC talking about shorting here at the top since it's stretched. I have a different perspective, right? Some traders and investors, and I mean, look, the guy's on CNBC, so he's probably a lot richer than me. So listen to him, not me. But when you see things breaking out like this, and if you look at a chart of gold, and you could check it out in the newsletter that I just posted, this is breaking out of a decade-long base. Okay, in 2011, gold topped just over 1,900. I think it was 1,927, $1,927 an ounce. I think it topped, and it's gone down to sideways for over a decade, and it's just broke out. Guys, it's just broke out like 4 months ago over that all-time record high. The measured move on that's like 3,000 plus. So people are like, gold is trading at an all-time record high. It's a good opportunity to short it because it's so high. No, that means it's in a bull market, and any material pullback to the 50-day, you should buy that, right? You don't fight the trend, okay? You buy weakness in a bull market. And if you look at a chart of gold right now, I mean, you can't tell me that's a bearish chart. that is a screaming bull chart. And again, this is just my opinion. It doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. I have an opinion just like the guy on CNBC. I think weakness in gold is a buy because it is in a bull trend. But let's say in 2014, 2015, when it was below all-time record highs in a choppy base, if you're looking for a trade, you can kind of get chopped up in that. But this is a trending bull cycle. And, we're $400 and change over the breakout zone in an election cycle when deficits are ballooning to the tune of $1 trillion on the national debt every 100 days. I don't know, maybe I'm, what do you guys think? Maybe I'm wrong. And I'm also bullish on equities, regardless of who wins. If we have President Kamala Harris, and let's run these scenarios. And I'll just preface this by saying, I respect whoever you want to vote for. Doesn't matter to me. I love you all the same if you want to vote for Kamala or if you want to vote for Donald Trump. I really don't care. This is America. You vote for whoever you want. I vote for whoever I want to vote for. You vote for whoever you want to vote for. And who cares? So if we have a Kamala victory and the market throws a little bit of a tantrum, let's say we get some volatility, you're just going to see so much fear in the media, right? The end of capitalism, this is the end, the world is falling. Stocks will sell off. You'll see all your favorite Twitter accounts posting, I told you so, this is the next 2008. I think that would be a screamer buy, a face-ripping screamer buy. I think if you have a President Trump victory, I don't think you would get that volatility post-election, but I would still think it would be a screamer buy to buy into strength. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, Tom, are you a perma-bull and just saying buy aimlessly regardless? No. My thesis is I believe that the American economy is going to continue to be strong. We're coming off the back of two pretty decent Q1 and Q2 GDP prints, right? I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but I put them in the newsletter. We're coming off the back of a solid Q1, an okay Q2, and easing through Q3. So, you do the math. While we're in an AI supercycle and potentially a massive hardware refresh and an energy renaissance, right? We didn't even talk about that tonight, but think about the renaissance that we're about to experience in the energy sector. Did we talk about Larry Ellison? His interview that he did with, I forget who it was with. Anyway, Larry Ellison did an interview, and he was talking about his dinner that he had with the CEO of NVIDIA, Jensen, and CEO of Tesla, Elon Musk. And the whole dinner, it was just Elon and Larry Ellison begging Jensen for semiconductors and chips. He's like, we're going to need it, we're going to need it, we're going to need it. And some of the conversation even went, we're going to probably need to invest in small cell nuclear reactors to power a lot of our data centers in AI. So you could have, 2 or 3 big seismic industry trends hitting all at the same time. And you're probably going to have some sort of government spending package on like an energy program to help fuel data centers and AI, to build small cell nuclear reactors and the like. So there's a lot to be optimistic about. There's a lot to look forward to over the next 2 to 3 years. We are living through a major technological revolution. And that's not going to stop based upon who we elect, right? You know, the country's been turning since 1776. We've gone through all the presidents we've gone through. I mean, think about that, right? They said that the world was going to end when Obama was elected. They said we were going to live under a dictatorship and Trump was going to plunge us into World War III. The exact opposite happened. We had raging capital markets under Trump, and we had extreme peacetime all over the world under Trump, so that didn't happen. And then they said the economy was going to crater and plunge into an abyss, and it was going to be a 1929 style stock market crash under Joe Biden. That didn't happen. S&P 500 hit an all-time record high yesterday. So the U.S. economy is built on individual freedoms and property rights, and that is a very conducive environment for capital creation. That's why you have the world's best companies right here in the US of A, and that is not going to stop just because of one person, right? The U.S. Political structure is like a big machine. It's almost as if, we were complaining today about, how inefficient the government is. Maybe if we take a step back, maybe that's like a blessing in disguise. Because the government can't get on the same page about anything. They can't agree on anything. They can't get spending under control. They can't get legislation under control. So if we think they're so powerful to, derail the greatest economy and innovation cycle the world has ever seen, I don't think I can give them enough credit for that. I really don't think so. All right, let's cut over to Bryant Park. Again, maybe that's me being a perma-optimist, but that's how I honestly feel. But if you guys are enjoying tonight's broadcast, feel free to leave a like on the video. Oh, that was close. Oh, that was close again. These bikers got to watch it. I mean, the cars got to watch it too, but I mean, geez, man. Feel free to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Also, if you enjoy our talk about the financial markets and investing, we do write a free newsletter for the group, which we send out every other Thursday, right as the market closes. So check out our Substack. It is free, and it is a great way to support the channel at zero cost. It's like a big, what is this guy? A film shoot in progress. Looks like something out of The Hobbit, doesn't it? I wonder what they're filming. It says every drop counts. Oh, it's put on by Echo Lab. Maybe for some environmental thing. Let's check it out from the other side. There's always something interesting going on in New York. Ah, it's a water conservation video. Cool. Hey, what's up, Esmeralda? This is a candidate can definitely affect policy that determines the direction of civil liberties, though, for sure. But the media, it's sensationalism. Like I think at this point, if you get your information from CNN or Fox News, you're not watching the news, you're watching sensationalism, right? It's just it's all persuasion. We've talked about this before, but it's persuasion from the extreme, right? the whole rhetoric, Donald Trump dictator on day one. It's obvious he's not a dictator. It's obvious, right? Comrade Kamala. She's going to turn the United States into a communist regime. It's obvious that's not going to happen. It's just like, it's kind of exhaustingly obvious, but, I guess the propaganda works on some people, but it's very clear that it's propaganda because it's the same messaging, just repeatedly. It's like a psyop. But some people believe it. Some people are crazy enough to believe that they think, if Trump is elected, we're going to have no freedoms and it's going to be a dictatorship. And some people are crazy enough to believe that, the latter happens if Kamala Harris is elected. There's going to be no more free market capitalism in the United States, and it's going to be communist regime, and all your property is going to get confiscated. Yeah, it's not even possible. It's just like obvious, like mind-numbing obvious. So I would just remember the sensationalism of the media on either side, because that's what drives the clicks and that's what drives the revenue for those businesses. Now, frankly put, I am not a fan of Kamala Harris at all. I'm just trying to give you an example of the extremes, right? The media pushes the extremes. I think the policies and the ease of doing business would probably be better under Trump, but I don't think you would have an extreme where we would be the Soviet Union. It's just not a reality.
Where are you guys going? We're just gonna go sit in the park.
Look at this guy's scooter, man. Let's cross over to Broadway, and then we'll have a good shot of the Empire State Building. Hey, Elliott Wave Review, what's up? This is, do I think Elon Musk is the #1 leader of doomsday about Kamala? No, I've seen those other accounts that are much more doomsday, doom and gloom. It's also not a very good way to live, being doom and gloom all the time, right? Not just talking about the markets, right? I'm sure we all have that one friend that whenever you talk to them about the markets or something, they're like, oh dude, I'm waiting to buy. I'm not investing right now, man. I'm waiting to buy because there's gonna be a big stock market crash, man. Or I'm not buying a house, or I'm not buying this investment because there's gonna be a big crash and I'm gonna capitalize on it, man. Number one, you're not. That's number one. Number two, you're not Michael Burry. And number three, you got to be a participant, right? If you look at the statistics, if you look at the data, the general market is going up 70% of the time, right? So if you have a short thesis or a negative thesis, the majority of the time, statistically speaking, you're not going to make any money, right? That's not to say don't put any short positions on in the portfolio. That's not to say don't hedge the portfolio. But if you are a strictly negative bias all the time, then by law of probabilities and statistics, most of your investments are probably not going to pan out, right? You want to have a systematic framework. Ooh, what's going on here? I don't know what's going on there. You want to have a systematic framework for investing, top down, bottom up, right? So if GDP is going up and the general market trend is up, then it's probably best to look for some long ideas, to go long some specific stocks or to go long some specific investments and kind of trade with the overall trend. But you got to put your money to work. There's a lot of people that I know that are exactly like that, right? Just doomsdayers. Doomsdayers will sound more articulate, more smart, but very, very seldom do they make money. Hey, DC322, what's going on? Thanks for joining us. Hey, Robert Parker's here. Hey, Robert. Hopefully you're having a good one. Carl says, Tom, the electric car is the best thing that's ever... Hey, what CC is that? 50?
No, this one is just 130.
Oh, nice, nice. All right, man, drive safe. All right, let me catch up on some of the comments. Hey, what's up, Dave? Brad's Brain, cheers, good to see you. Like, do we think Elon Musk would be building rockets to the moon, or, you know, Steve Jobs would have created Apple if he was pessimistic all the time? Right, the most successful people generally, right, that have created companies, products and services are very, very optimistic people. That's not to say just have it, ooh, that guy bottomed out his car like crazy. So I guess a lot of these vehicles can't see this big, I actually don't even know what that is. Maybe it's just like the subway making the road come up, but this guy like destroyed the bottom of his car. You could even see the marks from his vehicle where he bottomed it out. Damn, see, that's why you gotta slow down, man. You race into the next red light. That sounded like an explosion. I don't know if the camera caught that, but it startled me a bit. I don't even know what I was talking about. Yeah, Brett, it probably sounded a lot louder in person than it did on the stream because I have my mic. There's always issues with the roads here. Adam says I was talking about positivity. Yeah, and it's not just to be like a positive like airhead, right? But if you're gonna start a business or you're gonna start something, you kind of have to have a little bit of optimism when you go into it, or you're kind of setting yourself up for failure, right? If you start a new job, if you move to a new city, you can't be, you know, go in there doom and gloom. You know, you gotta kind of jack yourself up a bit. Get excited about the opportunity at hand. Look at that big pile of trash. This is the Margaritaville. I think it's a hotel and restaurant. Anyone ever stay here? Cross over to 8th. I also want to check out the New Yorker Hotel. There's supposed to be some big display right outside of the New Yorker tonight. I'm not quite sure what it is, but now here's also something to kind of ponder around in your minds. I'm sure there's some of us here that were alive and working age before the internet, right? Now you don't have to, you know, raise your hand, but I'm sure there were some people in the audience that were either working a corporate job before the internet even existed, right? It was like a new phenomenon, the internet, this like mystical thing, right? I was thinking about this the other day, and many people always revert back to the 2000 tech and telecom bubble. That was really before the internet. I mean, now it wasn't before the internet, obviously, But 1995 to the year 2000, the internet was just like a concept. It didn't really work. It was clunky. It was just like, I mean, I'm sure everyone has had Windows 95. If you compare that to what we have now, it's almost like inoperable. But I'm sure some people, even going before that, remember dial-up and the like. And everyone compares and says, look, the stock market that we have now is exactly like the 2000 tech and telecom bubble. But you can't make that comparison because think about all of the, things that we have today. Like AI, ChatGPT. We could do a live broadcast to 1,000 people in 1080p. Let's cross the street here. Oh, actually, let's stay on this side. Nope, let's cross. Let me just wait for this truck to cross and then we will... Oh, let's actually stay on this side. Nope, let's cross. Oh, we'll stay on this side. Come on, just stay on one side of the street, pal. All right, we'll stay on this side. After a little bit of maneuverability, we can continue on with the broadcast. As I was saying, think about the resources we have today. How just like all the technology, FaceTime, ChatGPT, streaming, right? The access to information. So the technologies just aren't even on the same level. For us to get into bubble territory, we're gonna need something like a 10x, like something just absolutely preposterous. And also think about the rate of acceleration in technology. Think about the innovation from 95 to 2000, from 2000 to 2010, from 2010 to 2024, right? Just the change in technology from 2010 to 2024 is insane, right? In that small time frame, even from 2013 to 2024, just the massive amounts of innovation and technology we have now, you can't even compare it. So now think about 10 years from now, right? Do you think that what we're gonna have in 10 years from now is gonna be better or worse? It's quite obvious. It's gonna be much, much better. This guy set up his little camping chair here. Hey, what's up, Lemonade? I know Mark Francis 076's early internet, you could hardly send a picture. Now over iMessage, you could send 4K video. And just think about just the picture quality too. The first iPhone, I didn't have the original iPhone. I was a little bit too young at the time. But when the first iPhone came out, the first iPhone had a camera on the back, I think. Yeah, it must have. But the pictures were abysmal. It was terrible. Just think about the displays too. Esmeralda, this is Tom. Was I old enough to know what dial-up was? I know what it is, but I don't think I was old enough to experience it. I was born in 1995. So, I grew up with internet all the time. When I was a teenager, I had great internet all the time. But I saw the massive jump. The biggest jump for me that I experienced was when we got 4G technology. I don't think people really understand how massive that change was from 3G to 4G and then to LTE. That's a huge game changer. You wouldn't have any of this. You wouldn't have any live streaming. It just wouldn't be possible. You couldn't stream 1080p on a 3G network. It just wouldn't even be possible. Just wait until we could do these live streams in 4K. I mean, it's coming. I mean, think about how wild that's going to be. Imagine watching a live stream of New York City, Miami, LA, San Francisco, and it's going to be in 4K, 60 frames a second on like a super HD Samsung TV. That's going to be like insane. It's going to be nuts. Hey. It is coming. It probably will come when we have a true 5G network.
Yeah, it is really, really.
And probably we need better hardware. Hang with Mark Mom. Says 4K live stream is here. Yeah, but I wouldn't really be able to do it on mobile. It just wouldn't work. I don't think I would have the bandwidth to do it, and I think my phone would die in probably 30 minutes. I mean, if I'm on, at my desk, for sure. But mobile on my phone? I don't know. I think that would be pretty, like almost near impossible. Dude's Pizza. Grand opening. 516 8th Avenue. Really? Hang with Mark Mom says you stream in 4K? With an iPhone and a power bank? Really? I'm interested and I'm intrigued to know more. Man, maybe I'll have to look into that because the city would look unbelievable in 4K. Yeah, John says we probably have a buffer problem in 4K. That's true. Brad's brain. So we're just off of 8th Avenue, north of 34th Street. This is the zone that I like to call my no-go zone. So on 8th, in between 34th and 42nd, most of it is like a war zone. You're gonna need your battle shield ready. Most times. Now it's actually kind of, I mean, even though we ran into some events, it was kind of tame tonight. Usually it's like,
Because who else?
a little bit crazier, but this is just one of the rougher parts. We'll jump right back on 7th and make our way down. Now, we talked a lot about innovation tonight. We briefly covered our optimism on nuclear power. But you know what I would really love to see in the United States? Right, with all of our ridiculous government spending, I think we need like a Japan-style high-speed rail from New York to LA, from sea to shining sea. High-speed rail, 300 miles an hour, super luxurious, maybe 2 or 3 stops along the way, maybe make a straight shot from New York to Miami, but ultra efficient, ultra luxury, high-speed rail like they have in Japan. Now that is a crazy task because the US is just so massive, but not to knock Amtrak. I mean, they do the best they can, but Amtrak is almost like not feasible to travel. It just takes way, way too long. So if we could somehow do like a private sector, public sector partnership to build true high-speed rail in the United States, that would be awesome. Yeah, 4, 5, 6 people would just fly. I mean, that's what I do. I really don't understand what is the purpose of Amtrak going from Penn Station to Miami, Florida. Like, honestly, maybe I'm just being ignorant. I'm totally self-aware that I'm probably being ignorant right now. But sometimes I'm in Penn Station, they're like, all aboard Amtrak, destination Miami. Like, who in their right mind would sit 24 hours on a train when I could be there and back the same day if I fly? It's 2.5 hour flight versus 24 hours on a train. I don't get it. It just doesn't make any sense. Maybe people do it just for like the experience. I don't know, but it seems like very inefficient. JD says that would cost hundreds of millions. I think it would cost more than hundreds of millions. I think it would cost billions to do true high-speed rail. No, Brad says I would assume it's significantly cheaper. It's not even cheaper. It's sometimes more expensive. Joel PM says we need underground high-speed rail, brought to you by the Boring Company. That would be interesting. All right, 34th Street, Herald Square. Well, we're 1 block away from Herald Square. What do you guys think about the Empire State Building tonight in that beautiful, crisp white? I think there's some event going on at Madison Square Garden. We'll have to take a detour to the left because I think we're going to start to buffer. A little bit off topic, but you know it was interesting experience when I was at Incheon Airport in Korea. They have smoking rooms. And they're surprisingly quite clean, and you don't even really smell the cigarette smoke. So I was walking past, if anyone's ever been to Incheon Airport in South Korea, the place is like a big lounge. It's like a big luxury hotel. But they have, periodically in every terminal, they have these smoking rooms where people go in there, it's a nice little lounge, and they just smoke cigarettes. But I think the glass is so thick and the HVAC is so good that it totally ventilates the entire thing. Super strange though, because we don't have that in the US, I don't think. I think smoking is prohibited. Meld says they used to have those in the Vegas airport, like a tank full of smoke. I've flown into Vegas, I don't think I saw that, maybe it was a while ago. Yeah, someone says 210 by is the lowest by train. Well, so opportunity cost is significantly more expensive, right? Because if I have to spend 2 days traveling, spending $210. I'd rather just spend $175 on an American Airlines flight that gets me to Miami in 2.5 hours. I've taken Amtrak from Moynihan Train Hall to Philly. I had a meeting in Philadelphia, but it wasn't really even in Philadelphia, by the way. I got to the terminal and then I took an Uber to this place called King of Prussia. Not sure if anyone's familiar. And it was more like the suburbs. Really, really nice homes, like crazy nice homes. King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. It's actually quite nice. I couldn't live there though. I kind of need the chaos of the city. Hey, Will Franklin, what's up? So just had a relative take Amtrak from Rhode Island and it was chill, 3 hours. Awesome. I think they also have sleeping quarters in there too, right? Pretty soon, before you know it, we're going to be looking at the Macy's windows for the holidays. You could even see a little bit of the World Trade Center if you look super close all the way down there. It's lit up in green. I wonder why it's green tonight. Now, kind of shifting gears back to the markets, I think Costco is reporting earnings this week. Is that correct? I'm quite interested to see how they're going to report, because last earnings report, it was funny. They said their fastest growing client base for new Costco members are Generation Z, which I never would have predicted in a million years. Gen Z's going to Costco? Peter's Costco reports on the 26th. So what is that, Thursday or Friday? Costco is usually a really good proxy for what's to come. Anyone here a Costco member, BJ's member, something like that? Sam's Club? Richards is BJ's and Costco member. Hang with Mark Moms is the gas is cheaper. TK Porsche. This is long-time Costco membership or member. Now, aren't they raising the prices on their membership? I know, Rolly says you could buy all your gold bullion from Costco now. You're probably going to pay a pretty aggressive mark, but it is true. This is that new Ghirardelli store. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. This big chocolate company. This will probably do well for the holidays, but not too sure how they'll do long term. Oh, looks like they have a little coffee bar in here. Hang with Mark Mom says it wasn't that much of an increase, just $5. But for them, it's a cash cow. I mean, $5 across, I mean, how many members do they have? Across thousands of members? That's immediately hits the bottom line. So that's good for them. It's good for Costco shareholders for sure. Brad's brains is where our credit card balance is lately. I haven't seen those numbers, but I bet they're up big. I think they're near highs. We could look it up if you go to the Fred data website. If I had my other phone on me, I'd look it up right now. Look at that, even one Vanderbilt is lit up green tonight. Wow, running at altitude. 132 million members. Now that's pricing power right there. $5 increase across the 132 million members. Ooh, it's fantastic. What a payday that is. My God. Damn, that's good. Well, good for shareholders. Maybe not too good for the consumer, the customer, but definitely good for shareholders. This is West 33rd Street and 5th. Where did Palantir close today, Brad? Let's make a right on 32nd Street. We'll see what's open in Koreatown. I'm actually quite hungry, but I'm trying not to eat this late at night anymore. Not to say that I didn't eat healthy before, but I'm trying to get a little bit more disciplined in terms of scheduling. Because usually after the stream, I eat something. But I think that's too late at night to eat food. So I try to eat beforehand. The problem is, if we're walking around for 2 hours, I burn off all those calories. Brad says it's currently 37.65 after hours. Copy that. Oh, Brad, I just recently got this good O'Neill research report our equity sales guy sent over. I'll send it to you in the morning. Some pretty decent ideas in there.
Use it every time.
I'll forward it to your email in the AM. You know, for Monday night, it's actually quite busy in K-Town.
Whatever. Take him out. No, I'll stay over. Out there?
Buy your own shit, bitch.
Agreed. Buy your own stuff. Got to be independent. You know what I mean? You know what we're talking about? All right, let's make a little bit of a maneuver here, so we don't have to be in the pedestrian traffic zone. We'll also avoid this gentleman. Also, another problem, it's hard to kind of eat healthy options in the city close to midnight. But that place we just passed, the BBQ chicken place, that's a fantastic spot. But I've eaten there a million times. They're trying to cut down at least a little bit. Oh, you know what's a pretty good spot in Penn Station? How am I forgetting the name? I gotta remember this before we sign off. It's actually a pretty decent bodega right in Penn, but it's on the Amtrak terminal side, so it closes at midnight. It's, is it Don Pepe's? Is that what it's called? Any New Yorkers in the chat? Am I mixing that up with something? I think it is Don Pepe's. That's actually a good spot. I go there sometimes and get like an egg wrap. The problem is when you're ordering food in there past like 10 p.m., I mean, you get absolutely commandeered by crazy people wanting them to buy you something. And then if you don't buy them something, they threaten you. Hey, Sarah, this is so good to see the city from Tallahassee, Florida. I've never been to Tallahassee. I have a place in Miami, so I am a Floridian. In some capacity. VLT prods as they threaten you. The ones, so the crazy people in Penn Station after 11 p.m., those are like the big dogs of crazy. And it's like the same 5 guys, and the Amtrak police try to run them out of there, but you know, that's what I always say. Like everyone talks about, you know, a lot of the crime, the uptick in crime in the city. But there's really not a lot of crime, to be honest. And I know that's going to sound like I'm gaslighting a lot of people. It's just these mentally unstable folks that shouldn't be in the public. They should be in an institution getting help or treatment, right? That's who's committing all the quote unquote crimes, right? It's not like, I don't know, I want to be kind of careful with my words. It's not just like a person like me or you that, you know, is, I think you understand what I'm trying to convey. It's every time there's an episode on the train or really ever, it's someone with severe mental disability where it's not like, you know, some people are like, oh, just go get a job, that guy should get a job. No, he can't get a job, it's impossible. Right? It's impossible for someone like that to hold employment. They need They need to be in an assisted facility where they can get treatment. It's impossible for these people just to go to, someplace and get a job. It's impossible. That's the big problem in New York, right? And that's what I think a lot of people that are not from New York, what they don't understand. They're like, if you just arrest all these people, that'll solve the crime problem. No, it's you got to focus on the mental health of these folks, because those are the people that are committing all these outbursts and random slashings. It's not some random dude. It's someone who's seriously mentally disturbed. Anyway. This is the brand new Penn Station. This looks great. Put on by Vornado. Looks like they're waiting for some big part to, I think someone's in the back of that ambulance. Hopefully they're all right. I feel as if there's a lot of activity going on tonight, right? What do you think? I think it's been quite the eventful live stream. All right, guys, I think we'll blow it out here. I may get something to eat, I may not. Thanks so much for joining. Hopefully you all had a wonderful Monday. We'll be back tomorrow at 8:45 to cover all things financial markets. If you enjoy our financial talks and conversations, consider reading our free investing newsletter that we send out every other Thursday, right as the market closes. We cover U.S. equities, emerging markets, real estate, and much more. So scan the QR code, punch in your email, and you can sign up for our Substack. So signing off from Madison Square Garden. See you tomorrow.